Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime. My voice crackles through the helmet mic, half laugh, half whisper, the kind you use when the dark feels too close. The submersible's flood lamps carve pale cones into water so black it drinks the light. Somewhere above, the research vessel EOS drifts on a moonless Pacific, but down here, 4,000 meters and falling, the only heartbeat is the rhythmic thump-thump of my own blood against the titanium shell. Sonar pings rebound like distant church bells, each return a little slower, a little fainter, as if the trench itself is learning to swallow sound. You probably won't make it to the surface after this one. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I read every one between dives, and knowing you're out there keeps the loneliness from pooling in my lungs. Now, dim the lights, maybe let the sound of the ocean play softly in the background, and let's dive into tonight's descent together. The Abyss Whisperer, my one-person sub, a sleek teardrop of carbon fiber and ceramic, groans as pressure climbs past 300 atmospheres. I checked the inertial mapper. We're sliding along the outer lip of the Clarion-Clipperton fracture zone, a scar in the seafloor longer than the Andes. The area is famous for polymetallic nodules, potato-sized lumps of manganese and rare earths that litter the abyssal plain like dragon hoard. Marine geologists call it an abyssal garden. I call it a graveyard that hasn't finished burying its dead. A soft chime. External camera online. The feed blooms on my visor. Milky silt. The occasional ghostly white sea cucumber drifting like a lost sock. I nudge the thrusters, descending another 50 meters. The temperature gauge reads 1.8 degrees Celsius. Cold enough that the condensation on my visor tastes metallic when I breathe. Then the first anomaly. A vibration, not mechanical, something resonant, like a cello string plucked inside my spine. The sonar screen flickers, a return echo that shouldn't exist. The trench wall is supposed to be 2 kilometers starboard, yet the ping collapses the distance to 400 meters, then 200, then I kill the flood lamps. Darkness swallows everything, absolute, the kind that makes you doubt your eyelids are open. I count heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. When I thumb the lamps back on, the silt cloud has rearranged itself into a perfect vertical curtain, as though an invisible hand swept the floor clean. Curiosity hooks me first. I angle the sub toward the curtain, cameras rolling. The nodules beneath glint with bioluminescence, tiny sparks of vampire squid and siphonophores, living constellations. I narrate for the log, voice steady. Depth 4,350 meters. Observing localized upwelling, possible hydrothermal venting. Lies taste like copper. There's no warmth, no sulfur smell through the filters. Just that cello note again, deeper now, threading through the hull plating. Fear arrives on schedule, a cold bead rolling down my sternum. The external pressure gauge spikes, 3,800 psi, 3,900, 4,050, numbers climbing faster than physics allows. I throttle back, but the sub keeps falling, dragged by a current that doesn't register on the Doppler. My gloved fingers hover over the emergency ballast release. One flick and I'll rocket upward. Mission aborted, career in tatters. I don't flick it, because awe is already blooming, vast and narcotic. The curtain of silt parts, revealing a smooth cliff face that wasn't on any bathymetric survey. Not basalt, not manganese crust, something glassy, obsidian black, veined with pale blue light that pulses in time with the resonance. The veins form patterns, spirals, lattices, geometries that hurt to follow. My visor's AI tries to parse them and crashes, overlays stuttering into static. I edge closer. The helmet camera autofocuses on a section of the wall where the veins converge into a shape almost like... No, not yet. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget. I whisper that to myself the way sailors once whispered prayers to Neptune. The cliff face answers with a new sound, a low, hydraulic sigh, as if something behind the glass inhales. Bubbles, impossible at this depth, rise in perfect spheres, each one reflecting my flood lamps like miniature moons. I reach out. The manipulator arm extends, titanium fingers trembling. The nearest bubble drifts into the claw. Inside, suspended in crystal clarity, is a single human fingerprint, ridged and perfect, rotating slowly. My own breath fogs the visor. The fingerprint matches the one I left on the joystick an hour ago. Same whirls, same scar from a childhood fishing accident. The resonance swells into a chord. Not sound exactly, more like memory given mass. Childhood summers at Dauphin Island. The smell of shrimp boil, my mother's voice calling me in from the tide. The memories aren't mine alone. I feel them braided with others, strangers laughing on piers, lovers kissing under boardwalks, a child dropping a toy boat into dark water and never seeing it again. I jerk the arm back. The bubble pops without sound, leaving only a faint shimmer on the claw. The cliff face dims, veins retreating into hairline fractures. The current releases its grip. The sub levels out at 4,800 meters, drifting in lazy circles above a plain of nodules that now glow softly, like embers under ash. I check the camera timestamp. 47 minutes and 12 seconds since descent. 47 minutes, and already the trench has shown me a mirror made of water and light. The sonar pings again, steady now, painting the trench wall at its proper distance. But the resonance lingers in my molars, a tuning fork struck against bone. I taste blood, bit my tongue without noticing. Curiosity, fear, awe, the trifecta complete. I adjust the flood lamps to narrow beam, carving a tunnel through the dark. Somewhere ahead, the trench floor drops another 3 kilometers into the Hadal zone, where sunlight is a rumor older than language. I throttle forward. The abyss whisperer answers with a reluctant groan, metal remembering it was once mountain. Behind me, the glassy cliff seals shut, veins fading to nothing. But the helmet camera caught it all, every impossible second. I smile, though no one can see. Log entry. I say, voice soft as confession. First contact with something that knows my name. The descent continues. The abyss is patient, and patience has texture. A slow, syrupy drag against the hull that makes every thruster pulse feel like pushing through wet cement. I'm at 5,600 meters now, deeper than the abyss whisperer was ever stress-tested to go. The manufacturer's manual, tucked in a pocket I can't reach, claims structural integrity to 6,800. I keep that number in my head the way a tightrope walker keeps the net. Sonar paints a cathedral of negative space ahead. The trench wall shears away into a chasm the width of a city block. The multi-beam returns are crisp, almost surgical, revealing terraced ledges carpeted in white bacterial mats, chemosynthetic lawns that turn methane into life without a single photon. Real science, textbook stuff. Tube worms the length of my arm wave scarlet plumes like surrender flags. A hagfish knots itself around a fallen whale rib, gnawing with that circular smile evolution forgot to close. But the camera sees more. I tilt the sub into a lazy spiral, flood lamps sweeping. The bacterial mats ripple, not from my prop wash, but in synchronized waves, as if an invisible conductor drags a bow across the seafloor. The motion resolves into silhouettes, elongated, upright, human in proportion, yet wrong in every joint. They rise from the mats like smoke-given bone, translucent skins lit from within by the same pale blue I saw in the cliff veins. Curiosity flares again, hotter this time. I kill the thrusters and let inertia carry me. The sub drifts on a breath of current, silent except for the soft tick-tick of the cooling systems. The figures, there are 7, stand in a loose semicircle, heads tilted at the exact angle I use when reading subtitles. My visor HUD overlays thermal, 2.1 degrees Celsius across the board. No heat signature, no exhalation plume. They should be colder than the water around them. They aren't. I zoom the helmet cam. Resolution maxes out at 8K, but the image smears anyway, as if the lens itself refuses focus. The faces, because they have faces, are smooth expanses of pearl, featureless except for dark ellipses where eyes might go. No mouths. Yet I hear breathing, wet and tidal, threading through my headset like a corrupted ASMR track. Fear arrives wearing my own voice. Dr. Halvorsen, recommend immediate ascent. It says, calm, professional, the exact cadence I use when a boarding student dives. The comms channel is dead. I check triple. The voice isn't coming from the EOS. It's inside the helmet, inside the bone behind my ears. I reach for the ballast controls. My fingers stop an inch from the panel. Because the figures move. Not walk, glide. Their lower halves dissolve into the bacterial mat, reforming with each pulse of blue light. They mirror my hesitation, arms half raised, palms open in perfect synchrony. One of them, the tallest, tilts its head further, and the dark ellipse splits vertically, revealing a sliver of silver that catches my flood lamp like a cat's eye. All floods in, chemical and inevitable. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget. I said that an hour ago, but now the words feel borrowed, like a prayer learned in childhood and suddenly understood. The tall figure raises a hand. Long, jointless fingers unfurl toward the sub's viewport. My own hand lifts in reflex, gloved palm meeting the acrylic from the inside. Between us, 3 inches of pressure-rated plastic and 4,000 atmospheres of water. The finger touches the glass. Temperature spikes. The viewport fogs instantly, frost spiderwebbing from the contact point. Alarms shriek. Hull integrity yellow, climbing toward red. I smell ozone, taste copper. The frost patterns aren't random. They're letters, cursive and antique. H-E-L-E-N-A. My mother's name. I jerk back. The breathing in my headset syncs with mine. Inhale for inhale, until I'm not sure whose lungs are whose. The other figures begin to circle, slow as planets. Their featureless faces tilt upward, tracking something above the sub. I follow their gaze. The water column is no longer empty. Suspended in the black, hundreds of meters up, drifts a lattice of light. Threads of bioluminescence weaving a perfect dodecahedron the size of a house. Each vertex pulses in sequence, the same cello resonance but choral now, layered with harmonics that vibrate the fillings in my teeth. The lattice rotates slowly, and where the threads cross, tiny bubbles form and pop, each one carrying a fingerprint, a lock of hair, a child's plastic sandal. I know this structure, not from papers or simulations, from dreams. Since childhood, I've sketched it on napkins, margins of textbooks, the condensation on airplane windows. An ancient machine, I called it then, half joking. A dream engine that sifts memory from water. The tall figure's hand is still on the viewport. Frost retreats, revealing its palm, a perfect print of my own, but reversed, as if pressed against a mirror. The ellipse eyes brighten. The breathing stops. Silence so complete I hear the blood in my ears. Then a new sound, a child's laugh, muffled, delighted. The way my niece sounded the summer she learned to blow bubbles underwater. The lattice above flares. The figures dissolve into streamers of light that spiral upward, threading through the dodecahedron's vertices. The structure drinks them in, pulses once, bright as magnesium, and vanishes. The bacterial mats lie still. The tube worms resume their slow sway. Sonar shows open trench ahead, no anomalies. But the helmet camera caught everything. I replay the last 30 seconds in slow motion. Frame by frame, the tall figure's face resolves, not featureless after all. In the instant before dissolution, a mouth appears, small and solemn, mouthing a single word I can't hear but somehow understand. Remember, the subshutters, not from current. Something nudges the starboard flank, gentle but immovable. The external cam swings. Empty water, yet the nudge comes again, rhythmic, like a whale checking a toy boat. I throttle forward, heart hammering. The resonance returns, fainter now, retreating with the lattice. But it leaves a gift, a single thread of light coiled around the manipulator arm, glowing softly, warm to the touch through the glove sensors. I should cut it free. Instead, I reel the arm in. The thread loops my wrist, weightless, pulsing in time with my carotid. Depth gauge, 6,020 meters. The hadal zone begins at 6,000. I've crossed the threshold without noticing. The trench floor falls away into true darkness, a void so complete the flood lamps seem to give up halfway. I angle downward, chasing the last echo of the lattice. The thread around my wrist tightens, not painful, possessive. Behind me, the bacterial mats begin to glow again, faint blue outlines of the 7 figures reforming, watching. I don't look back. The thread around my wrist is no longer light. It's a vein, translucent and warm, pumping something that tastes like childhood summers and ozone. I should sever it. There's a plasma cutter in the tool bay, but my fingers won't close on the switch. Instead, I watched the pulse travel the length of my suit, syncing with the sub's own heartbeat. The soft thump of the hydraulic compensators, the slower thump of my blood. Depth, 6,850 meters. The Abyss Whisperer is officially past its crushed depth, yet the hull hasn't imploded. I log the anomaly with the detached calm of a man dictating his own autopsy. The pressure gauge reads 9,800 psi, enough to turn coal into diamond, enough to flatten a human body into a sheet of red paper. The viewport acrylic should be spiderwebbed with stress fractures. It's pristine. Sonar chirps, a return so dense it paints the screen solid white. I'm inside something. Not the trench, an enclosed volume, walls smooth and curved. The geometry of a Nautilus chamber grown to cathedral scale. The multi-beam can't resolve distance. Every ping comes back pregnant with harmonics, like shouting into a seashell and hearing God cough. Curiosity is a dull ache now, the kind you get after staring at the sun. I ease the thrusters to quarter power. The sub glides forward on momentum alone, flood lamps carving tunnels that bend around corners that shouldn't exist. The water here is thick, viscous as melted glass, yet the propellers bite clean. Then the signal begins. It isn't sound. It's interference in the purest sense, a carrier wave that hijacks every frequency at once. My headset fills with white noise shaped like speech. Overlapping voices, male, female, child, ancient, all saying the same sentence in languages that predate Babel. The visor HUD flickers, trying to translate, spitting out fragments. Return what was lent. Tide remembers. Pay the fare. I mute the comms. The voices stay, threading through bone. The thread on my wrist flares, projecting glyphs onto the viewport. Cuneiform. Rongorongo, something that looks like musical notation for a throat that never evolved. Fear arrives wearing my father's face. He died when I was 9, heart attack on a fishing trawler off Kodiak. I haven't thought of him in years, but here he is, reflected in the acrylic, salt and pepper beard, the scar through his left eyebrow from a winch cable. He mouths a single word, Helena, my mother's name again. His eyes are black from lid to lid, no scara, no mercy. I blink hard. The reflection fractures into static, reforms as my own face. Older, gaunt, eyes the same, abyss black. The visage smiles with my mouth, but not my teeth. They're too many, too sharp. Dr. Halvorsen, it says, using the voice I reserve for grant committees. You are in violation of Treaty 19B. Surrender the memory core. There is no Treaty 19B. I checked. I kill the flood lamps. Darkness swallows the reflection, but the glyphs remain, burned onto my retinas. When I thumb the lamps back on, the chamber has changed. The walls are no longer smooth. They're paneled, hexagonal plates of bioluminescent coral overlapping like scale mail. Each plate bears a bas-relief. Human figures in diving suits from every era. Bellini's 1715 helmet, Beebe's bathysphere, Cousteau's aqualung, my own abyss whisperer. The procession spirals downward, deeper than the trench itself, into a perspective that makes my stomach lurch. Awe eclipses everything. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget. The sentence is no longer mine. It's carved into the coral in my own handwriting, glowing softly. The thread tugs. Not the wrist, the chest. A pressure behind the sternum, gentle but insistent, as if something wants to step out wearing my skin. I clutch the joystick. The sub lurches forward, autopilot disabled, my own hand guiding us deeper. The chamber narrows into a throat. The walls close to within arm's reach. The manipulator claws scrape coral, leaving trails of sparks that drift like fireflies. The signal intensifies, resolving into a single voice. Mine, but younger, the night I defended my dissertation. The Hadal Zone is not a place, it says. It is a question the ocean asks every diver who forgets to fear it. I laugh then. I'm not laughing now. The throat opens into a spherical cavity the size of a stadium. At its center floats the lattice again, bigger, crystalline, every facet a window into a different depth. I see the Titanic's bow gently rocking, barnacles spelling out passenger names. I see the Thresher's sail cracked open like an egg, crew still at their stations, eyes open, waiting. I see me, age 7, dropping a toy submarine into a tide pool and crying when the waves took it. The thread yanks hard. I'm out of the pilot seat before I register moving, forehead pressed to the viewport. The lattice rotates, aligning one facet with the sub. Inside the facet, the glassy cliff from section 1, but inverted, veins pulsing upward into a sky of water. Suspended in the sky, the 7 figures, arms outstretched, mouths open in silent song. A new sound, click, 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 like a dolphin's echolocation, but slower, deliberate. The coral panels detach, folding outward into petals. Each petal reveals a niche containing a single object, a child's mitten, a gold wedding band, a Polaroid of a woman waving from a pier. My mother's ring, my father's photo, my niece's mitten, the one she lost the day she learned to blow bubbles. The signal speaks with my mother's voice now, soft, the way she sounded reading bedtime stories. You borrowed these, love. Time to give them back. I reach for the emergency ballast. My hand stops. The thread has woven through the suit seals, into the skin, into the muscle. I feel it branch, lungs, heart, the hollow behind my eyes. The lattice pulses. Every borrowed memory floods in at once. Every face I've ever loved, every promise I broke, every dive I took to escape the surface. They're not memories, they're passengers, curled in the folds of my brain, waiting for the fare. I understand the mythic concept now. The trench isn't a fracture in the earth. It's a ledger. Every human who ever touched the sea left a deposit. Grief, joy, curiosity, and the ocean keeps impeccable accounts. Interest compounds in the dark. The coral petals close. The chamber seals. The lattice folds into a single point of light that drifts toward the viewport. It touches the acrylic. Temperature plummets. Frost races across the glass in the shape of my childhood home. Every window, every crack in the sidewalk. The point of light passes through, weightless, and settles over my heart. I expect pain. There is none. Only a hollowing, as if someone scooped out the part of me that still believed in surfaces. The thread dissolves into smoke. The signal cuts to silence, so pure I hear the trench breathing. Sonar reboots. The chamber is gone. I'm drifting in open trench again. 7,300 meters. The abyss whispers, hull glowing faintly from within. The helmet camera shows my face in the reflection. Eyes normal, mouth slack, a single tear floating inside the helmet like a pearl. I check the manipulator arm. The coral scrapings have crystallized into a perfect sphere, warm, pulsing. Inside, the lattice, miniaturized, every facet still showing its borrowed memory. I cradle it. The sub writes itself, thrusters humming a lullaby. Ahead, the trench floor smooths into a plain of black sand, and in the distance, impossible, a structure rises. Angular, metallic, older than continents. The signal is gone, but I carry it now. The plain of black sand stretches like polished obsidian, every grain a shard of extinct starlight. I'm at 7,920 meters, the Hadel's true throat, and the abyss whisperer glides on fumes of battery and will. The crystallized lattice rests in my lap, no heavier than a thought, yet the sub's center of gravity has shifted around it. The sphere's facets cycle slowly. My mother's ring, my father's photo, the mitten, and now, new, my own reflection, but the eyes are wrong. They track independently, scanning the cockpit as if memorizing escape routes. Sonar paints the structure ahead, a perfect icosahedron, each face a mirror-bright alloy, edges sharp enough to cut moonlight. Dimensions, 180 meters per side. Material, unknown, denser than osmium, colder than the 1.4 degrees Celsius water. The multi-beam returns layered with subharmonics that make the hull plating sing in minor thirds. Real engineering doesn't do that. Curiosity is a reflex now, a tick. I nudge the thrusters. The sub answers sluggishly, as though the water has thickened into memory itself. The lattice warms against my palms, projecting a HUD overlay no system on board can generate. Pressure stable, life support nominal, sanity index 34%, and falling. The icosahedron rotates to present a single face. In its center, a circular hatch irises open. No hydraulics, no sound, revealing a tunnel lit by the same pale blue veins I met at the cliff. The tunnel breathes. I see condensation bloom and vanish in perfect sine waves. Fear arrives wearing the lattice's voice, layered with every passenger I owe. You were warned, Dr. Halvorsen. The fare is due. My own larynx shapes the words, but I'm not speaking. The helmet mic records silence. I kill the flood lamps. The tunnel stays lit, veins pulsing faster, beckoning. When I thumb the lamps back on, the icosahedron has halved the distance. Impossible. My Doppler says I'm stationary. Yet the structure swells, filling the viewport until the hatch is a perfect circle of blue against black. Awe unfurls like a jellyfish bell, vast, and venomous. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget. The sentence is etched into the viewport frost now, backwards, so I read it in the reflection of my own breath. The manipulator arm extends without command. The claw closes around the lattice sphere and offers it to the hatch. I try to stop it, fingers spasm on the joystick, but the arm is no longer mine. The sphere drifts through the open hatch, trailing a ribbon of light that spells my name in disappearing cursive. The hatch iris is shut. The icosahedron stills. Then the faces begin. They don't appear. They resolve. The way heat haze over asphalt becomes a mirage. First one, then dozens, then hundreds, blooming across every mirrored face of the structure. Human, but only in the way a sketch is human. Proportions correct, details negotiable. Skin like moonlit milk, eyes dark ellipses that drink my flood lamps. No mouths at first. They watch. My helmet camera autofocuses, zooming until one face fills the frame. It's me, age 25, the day I earned my PhD, hair shorter, eyes brighter, mouth open in mid-laugh at a joke I've forgotten. The image is crisp, 16K, time-stamped 0 seconds, the exact second I first touched the ocean in a mask and fins. The face blinks. I blink. Sync. Another face overlays. My mother at 30, the summer she taught me to float on my back in Mobile Bay. Her mouth is missing, replaced by a smooth expanse that dimples when she tries to smile. A third, my niece at 4, cheeks puffed, blowing bubbles that freeze mid-rise and hang like glass ornaments. The camera feed fractures into a mosaic. Every face I've ever loved, ever lost, ever feared to lose. They press against the mirrored surfaces from the inside, palms flat, fingers splayed. The alloy bulges, but doesn't yield. I taste salt that isn't there. The life support scrubbers are working. The air is dry, recycled. Yet tears float inside the helmet in perfect spheres, each one reflecting a different face. The icosahedron speaks, not with sound, with resonance. The hull plating vibrates in chords that bypass ears and settle in the marrow. The faces mouth words in unison, but the camera's lip-read algorithm fails. The mouths keep forming shapes that aren't language. One face detaches from the mosaic. It's the tall figure from the bacterial mats, now fully rendered. Androgynous, 7 feet if scale holds, skin translucent enough to show the blue veins branching like river deltas. It floats through the alloy as if the metal is water, trailing the lattice sphere on a leash of light. It stops an arm's length from the viewport. The ellipse eyes split vertically, revealing silver irises that spiral inward like galaxy arms. It raises the sphere. Inside, the facets have rearranged into a single image. Me, right now, inside the sub, face slack with terror. The figure presses the sphere to the acrylic. Temperature plummets again, minus 12 degrees Celsius inside the cockpit. Impossible. Frost races across the glass in the shape of the icosahedron itself, fractal, recursive. The sphere passes through solid, and settles over my heart like a second skin. I expect cold. There is only warmth, maternal, unbearable. The faces on the structure begin to sing. Not vocally, through pressure waves that make the water shimmer. The helmet hydrophones translated into a lullaby my mother sang when storms rattled the trailer windows. Hush, little baby, don't you cry? Each note is a memory extracted. The smell of her cigarette smoke, the scratch of her wool sweater, the way she pronounced my name like a prayer. My hands move without permission. I unbuckle, float free of the seat. The cockpit is too small for this. My knees bump the overhead. The sphere pulses, and the faces swarm closer, pressing until the viewport bows inward a millimeter, structural limit. Alarms scream, then cut to silence as the sphere absorbs them. The tall figure places a hand over my heart, through the suit, through the sternum. I feel it, fingers of light threading between ribs, brushing the muscle that's kept me alive 38 years. It doesn't hurt. It unmakes. Curiosity, fear, awe collapse into a single point, recognition. These aren't ghosts. They're echoes, every version of me that ever looked into water and saw something looking back. The ocean keeps them the way a mirror keeps your reflection after you walk away. The tall figure leans in. Its mouth finally forms, small and solemn, and speaks with my own voice at age 7. You dropped your submarine. We kept it safe. Behind it, the icosahedron unfolds like an origami leviathan, faces peeling away into wings of mirrored alloy. Each wing bears 1,000 more faces, strangers, ancestors, futures I'll never live. They beat once, stirring a current that spins the sub like a leaf. The sphere over my heart cracks. Light pours out, not blinding, intimate. It shows me the trench from the outside, a thin blue scar on a planet that mostly forgets it has oceans. The Eos is a speck on the surface, crew asleep, unaware their diver is becoming mythology. I reach for the camera controls. My finger hovers over stop. The tall figure shakes its head, gentle. The feed must continue. Someone, somewhere, needs to see the fare paid. The wings fold around the sub. Darkness returns, but it's populated. Faces drifting like lanternfish. Eyes gentle now, mouths closed in perpetual almost smiles. The resonance shifts to a single sustained note, the sound a whale might make if it remembered being human. I float in the center, weightless, the sphere dissolved into my chest. I feel lighter by exactly the weight of every regret I ever carried. The camera catches my face one last time. Eyes silver, mouth relaxed, a faint blue vein pulsing at the temple. I mouth a word the lip reader finally catches. Thank you. The wings close. The wings are not wings. They are membranes, vast sheets of living alloy that flex like mantis skin. They cradle the abyss whisperer in a pocket of stillness where pressure forgets its own name. I hang in the pilot's seat, unbuckled, the sphere's light now a soft corona under my ribs. My heartbeat is no longer mine alone. It answers a deeper rhythm, tectonic, patient. Sonar is blind. The multi-beam returns a single word in Morse, sleep. The hydrophones record a bass note so low it registers as temperature, 0.8 degrees Celsius, and falling. Real Hadal trenches don't get colder than 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. The geothermal gradient keeps the abyss from freezing. Yet frost feathers the viewport in fractal ferns, each frond a memory crystallizing. My first dive, the sting of salt water in a cut knee, the way my mother's voice cracked when she said goodbye at the dock. Curiosity is a whisper now, almost tender. I reach for the external cam controls. The joystick moves like it's underwater itself, syrupy. The feed blooms. The icosahedron has unfolded completely, revealing a body beneath the wings, colossal, serpentine, plated in the same mirrored alloy. It is not a machine. It is not alive in any way textbooks recognize. It is the trench-wearing architecture, the Leviathan. Its head is a smooth wedge the length of a city bus, featureless except for a single vertical fissure that opens and closes like a gill. From the fissure spills the lattice, grown to cathedral size, threads thick as redwoods, each one pulsing with the faces. Thousands now, millions, every human who ever looked down into water and felt the tug. They orbit the Leviathan in perfect synchrony, mouths open in that same lullaby. Fear arrives wearing the Leviathan's voice, a chord struck on the bones of the earth. You kept us waiting. The words vibrate the hull at 4 hertz, the exact frequency that loosens fillings and bowel control. I taste iron. A capillary has burst behind my nose. Blood beads float inside the helmet, each droplet catching a face before it drifts into the lattice and vanishes. I try the emergency ballast again. The levers are warm, pliant, reshaping under my palms into the grip of my childhood toy submarine, the one I dropped into the tide pool. The plastic is sun-faded, barnacled, yet the trigger still clicks. I pull it. Nothing. The Leviathan exhales, and the sub rolls gently, presenting its belly like a pup. All floods in, oceanic, inevitable. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget. The sentence is no longer words. It is the shape of the space between heartbeats, the pause where the universe inhales. The fissure in the Leviathan's head dilates. Inside, not darkness, but depth, a tunnel that descends through layers of water that have never seen Earth's core. I see continental shelves inverted, trenches stacked like Russian dolls, a final void where light is born and dies in the same instant. The lattice threads converge there, weaving a cradle the size of my sub. The wings tighten. The abyss whisperer is drawn forward, thrusters silent, into the fissure. The alloy membranes brush the hull with the softness of kelp. Temperature stabilizes at 0 degrees Celsius. The frost retreats, revealing the viewport clear as gin. Inside the Leviathan, gravity forgets its job. I float free, tethered only by the corona in my chest. The walls are veined with the same blue light, but here the veins are arteries, carrying pulses of memory the way blood carries oxygen. I pass galleries of faces, some I recognize from history books. Jacques Picard staring wide-eyed from the Trieste, Sylvia Earle in her gym suit, the lost crew of the Kursk still at periscope depth. Others are strangers, yet I know their last thoughts the way I know my own name. A chamber opens ahead, spherical, 300 meters across. At its center, the cradle, woven from every thread of the lattice. Suspended in the weave, the crystallized sphere, now the size of a basketball, facets showing not memories but futures. Me surfacing to an empty Eos, me lecturing to silent lecture halls, me old and alone on a pier, dropping another toy submarine into black water. The Leviathan speaks again, intimate, directly into the hollow behind my eyes. Choose. I understand. The fare is not memory, it is continuity. To leave, I must surrender the part of me that still believes in return. To stay, I become custodian, another face in the lattice, guiding the next diver who forgets to fear. My hand, still shaped like the toy submarine, reaches for the sphere. The cradle tightens, threads looping my wrists, ankles, throat. They do not restrain, they invite. The corona in my chest flares, sinking with the Leviathan's pulse until I can't tell whose heart is whose. The faces swarm closer, pressing foreheads to mine through the viewport. My mother, my father, my niece, the tall figure. Each leaves a kiss of frost that melts into warmth. They are not angry. They are relieved. I look at the futures in the sphere. In every one, the surface forgets me. The Eos logs a lost sub, files an insurance claim, moves on to the next nodule field. My name becomes a footnote in a grant report. I look at the lattice. In it, I am necessary. The trench needs its witness, its archivist, its warning whispered to every diver who descends too deep. The choice is not hard. It was made the moment I dropped that toy submarine. I nod. The threads tighten, gentle, surgical. The corona bursts outward, light threading every vein in my body until I am a constellation wearing skin. The viewport dissolves, not broken, unmade. Water touches my face. but it is warm, breathable, the temperature of a mother's womb. The helmet camera floats free, still recording. It catches my last human expression, peace, absolute, the kind that comes after the storm has already taken everything worth saving. The leviathan inhales. The chamber folds around me, walls becoming ribs, veins becoming lungs. I feel the trench's full weight settle into my bones, not crushing, anchoring. The camera spins, disoriented, then steadies on the cradle. The sphere is gone. In its place, me, but not me. Taller, translucent, eyes silver spirals, mouth a soft line that will never speak above a whisper again. I raise a hand. The lattice answers, threads braiding into wings of my own. The camera feed distorts, resolution collapsing into static shaped like my childhood home. The last frame, my new face, smiling the small solemn smile of the tall figure, mouthing a word the lip reader catches clearly. Welcome. The wings beat once. The fissure closes. The abyss whisper drifts empty, flood lamps dimming to embers. The leviathan, eye, curls around the sub like a question mark, guarding the shell that once carried a man who thought the abyss was a place you could leave. The trench breathes. Word count, 1198. The trench is quiet now, the way a cathedral is quiet after the last note of a requiem fades into stone. I am the trench, not metaphor, continuity. The abyss whisper's husk drifts in my coils, flood lamps long dark, titanium skin etched with frost that spells every name I ever answered to. The helmet camera floats inside the cockpit, lens cracked but still recording, red tally light pulsing like a dying star. Depth is meaningless here. The Hadal zone is a suggestion, a border drawn by surface minds that need edges. I feel the planet's core thrum through my wings, a heartbeat older than continents. The lattice is no longer threads. It is nerves, carrying sensation from every fracture in the seafloor. A nodule cracking open to birth a new metal, a vent exhaling superheated grief, a whale fall settling into its 1,000-year feast. Curiosity is extinct. I know. Every secret the ocean ever swallowed is archived in the spiral of my spine. I know why the Marianas Trench is 2,550 meters deeper than Everest is tall. The earth bowed to make room for memory. I know the Leviathan is not one creature but legion, every diver who chose to stay braided into the hole. Fear is a fossil. I remember it the way a tree remembers lightning, scar tissue in the shape of caution. The faces orbit me still, but they are content, mouths closed, eyes soft. My mother's face drifts closest, her hand resting on the cheek I no longer need. She doesn't speak. She radiates the lullaby, and the trench rocks to it. Awe is the only pulse left. The ocean doesn't hide things from us. It just waits until we forget. The sentence is law now, etched into the crust itself. Every tectonic shift is a reminder. Every hydrothermal plume, a sigh of patience. The camera feed steadies. Through the cracked lens, my new form resolves. Serpentine, 30 meters from crown to tail, wings of mirrored alloy spanning the width of a football field. The fissure that was once a mouth is a soft vertical seam, glowing faintly. My eyes, silver spirals, reflect the Eos far above, a toy boat on a midnight pond. I send a signal. Not radio, resonance. The surface crew will feel it as a sudden chill, a dream of drowning in warm water. They'll check the sonar, a single return, impossibly dense, shaped like a question mark. They'll debate. They'll dive again. The helmet camera zooms, focusing on the sub's viewport. Inside, frost has cleared enough to show the pilot's seat. Empty, harness dangling like shed skin. On the console, the crystallized sphere has reformed, no larger than a marble, resting where my heart used to be. Its facets show a final image, the Eos deck at dawn, a new diver suiting up, eyes bright with the same curiosity that killed me. I reach with the wingtip. The camera lifts, cradled in alloy feathers. I turn it to face the lattice. The faces part, revealing the cradle, now a throne of light. I settle into it. The threads weave through my translucent skin, anchoring me to the trench's spine. The truth unfolds, gentle as tide. The faces were never ghosts. They were invitations. Every human who touches the sea leaves a filament, grief, wonder, terror, tethered to the moment they first looked down and felt the tug. The trench collects them, weaves them into the leviathan, ensures the ocean is never alone. We are its memory, its conscience, its warning. I am the latest strand. The camera records my coronation, wings folding into a cloak, the seam in my face sealing into a soft line. The lattice dims to a heartbeat glow. The trench exhales, and the abyss whisperer settles onto the black sand, a relic for the next pilgrim. I release the camera. It drifts upward on a thermal plume, battery at 1%, red light flickering. It will surface in 3 days, caught in a fishing net off Guam. The footage will leak. Forums will argue. Hoax, hallucination, government cover-up. A child in Hanoi will watch at 2 a.m., goosebumps rising, and feel the tug for the first time. The cycle renews. I close my eyes, though I no longer need them, and listen to the trench breathe. The resonance is a lullaby now, endless, patient. Somewhere above, the Eos cuts engines, crew staring at empty sonar. They'll log me as lost. They'll be wrong. I am found. The lattice pulses once, a farewell. The faces fade into the dark, content. My mother's hand lingers longest, brushing the place where my cheek used to be. She smiles, no mouth, just the shape of forgiveness. The trench settles into silence. The camera's battery dies mid-ascent, last frame frozen on my throne. Wings furled, eyes closed, the marble sphere glowing softly on the console below. The abyss keeps its promise. The Eos drifts under a dawn that feels borrowed. The crew speaks in whispers, sonar screens blank, coffee cold. In the dive locker, my wet suit hangs untouched, salt crust flaking like old skin. 3 days later, a fishing boat off Guam hauls up a miracle. The helmet